Hi gang, welcome back to the Unraised Latina Ever. Today, in the aftermath of our First Lady passing away, I am going to not swear through the video because I know that she'd probably not approve of that, so I'm going to try real hard to keep things really on the up and clean. But I wore my my pearls that Bill bought me, and guess what? I have my engagement ring on today, you guys, and this is a temporary what do you call this? The wraps. It's a temporary wrap that, like, it's too big for my finger, but the ring slides around, so we got this to put it in place. So Bill's ex-wife had to show me her ring and her thingy that she got from her boyfriend that they've been living together forever, and it looked kind of like my wrap, but I didn't want to say anything to her because really, darling, this is just a temporary one. I'm gonna get rubies like when the real thing comes. Anyway, so we're not twinsies or anything. I had to pay taxes for the first time this year, you guys, and it really killed me to write that $120 check. But they had given me a refund, and I was thinking maybe they could take it out of this money because I didn't cash this check. But then I thought, you know what, I don't want to confuse the IRS because then they get mad and then they'd audit me. So we don't want that to happen. But you can have this check back, you guys. I didn't cash it. Okay. Bill drew a picture for me. We were going to make a little children's book for y'all. It's explaining, because I have a little bit of trouble with like annuity insurance and stock market and just how like things work in the finance world. Finance is something that I just like, I really don't really understand too much because they didn't teach that in school when I was growing up. We had to learn algebra and equations and different things like that, but we didn't really learn about the stock market. So Bill drew not a diagram, a diagram. And the diagram is of a couple, their name is Bob and Sue. We made it really simple. Like he even like put their names, Bob and Sue. And they're starting an ice cream business, y'all. And they needed money to start their business. So they went to the bank and they got a loan. See, they went to the bank and got a loan, and then their really nice Uncle Fred wanted to buy into their like business, and so he put up his own money for $25,000 to own stock, and so he would get part of the assets. That's what ASS means. Not like he wants a piece of ass or anything from his. No, he's not a perverted uncle. Okay, so he's on the up and up. So Will was explaining. Let's see if I can get this correct. Now, if Bob and Sue are real deadbeats and they don't really put much into their business, and say their business didn't make enough money, Uncle Fred would lose his ass because like he wouldn't be able to collect on anything. But the bank would get the ice cream truck. That's what they would get. So they would collect something, but Fred, he'd be out of money. But then if the business did well and they made money, the bank, they could just pay the bank off, right? And then Uncle Fred would continually like get a piece of the action or the assets. So it's like the stock market, they're all about getting ass, you know, basically, right, Will?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
I like your version better.
They just want a piece of the assets. I mean, so that's the stock market in a nutshell. And I thought the diagram was really good. I didn't say diaphragm. And so tonight we're actually doing something fun. We're going to another Republican event. I don't really call them that much fun, but the fact is that like they meet in restaurants, and the beauty of that is that like if the restaurant has decent food, you can order a dinner, and you know, you could have a beer or a glass of wine and bring a little sketchy pad to keep yourself occupied, and it's actually almost bearable to go to those meetings, but it keeps me from blurting out something that would be very inappropriate or asking stupid questions to like keep myself busy. But no, I actually am going to order a nice pizza. It's going to have some stuff on it. I'm going to have myself a beer, and I'm going to sit there and draw little happy pictures so I can understand what they're talking about, like kind of like what Bill did with this diagram on the stock market, because I have dyslexia, and it's really my first language. Yeah, so, back in the old days, they called it fetal alcohol syndrome, but now they actually put a name to it, because like everybody would have had dyslexia, because everybody's mom used to drink back in the day when they were pregnant and not knew, they know a lot. They just know so much more now because people are just so much smarter, right? But we know that drinking and smoking is not a good thing when you're pregnant. So, and also, the stock market is something they don't teach in schools. So, it's really kind of, I think, important because, when the bank gets a loan, that's debt, debt. They have to borrow that money. It's not like the bank just has money for you guys just to piss away on stuff. But, just saying. People think, oh, just go to the bank. Oh, hey. But that's what makes the stock market collapse. Wouldn't it be bad if like a bunch of people borrowed money and at the same time in unison they didn't pay it back? Could be
That would
really
be a problem.
Bad thing. It's very, 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 very bad for those people that bundled all these mortgages and like lended to these people that weren't qualified, and they did some horrible, horrible, horrible things. We're not going to talk about that administration, but we're going to talk about horrors, about 20 years ago from a president's past, but I was going to keep this clean because for Mrs. Bush's sake, I wasn't going to start saying any profanities, and whore kind of like almost sounds profane or whatever. But you know what? It is what it is. There are people in this world that like make their money, how do you say, extortion it, like they extort it from somebody. They like do something, and like the lawyers on the case of this Stormy Daniels, they're like lawyers that are like from the Obama administration, yeah, and they're like they're really sleazy lawyers. They're bad, and they're no bueno, and they're making stuff up and not being truthful. And then it's generating all this like fake media, and then we get the mind off of Russia and investigations and scandals and this and that. Nobody ever talks about the uranium that the Clintons sold to the Russians. Like, really? I think that's bigger than a prostitute that comes out of the woodwork making all these false claims. And she got paid, like, I think they gave her a big settlement of $120,000, which, what did she do with that money? I mean, darling, you could have bought yourself a nice little house and retired. But no, she didn't retire. She just kept going. The thing about it is, if these people are going to do Backpage and they're going to do this kind of occupation, the sex industry workers, then they need to be paying taxes. Like, did she have to pay taxes on that $120,000 that she extorted from a past president? And what is the amount of money on that $120,000 worth? IRS? Because, I'd be auditing Mrs. Daniels, wanting a piece of the action. I don't think she earned that money straight up. Anyway, if that's her business, by making money off of billionaires, by making up stories, then, Godspeed. But I think it's a horrible way to make a living. Anyway, I'd rather be poor, which I am. And I'd rather do things probably, on the up and up, because if you're going to do things like that, I mean, that negative publicity, like, can you imagine when her kids grow up and stuff like that? What did your mom do for a living? Oh, she was a prostitute. I mean, come on, seriously? So, I mean, I've done things like maid work, clean the toilets for LA Fitness. I mean, hey, you know what? There's no shame in that. You know why? There's shame in when you refuse to do nothing for yourself. When you try to extort money from somebody that, paid you quite a bit of money, Stormy. Shame on you. But anyway, I think that sometimes these bad people that do very, very, very bad things end up with karma. And her karma would be case closed, judgment for the president, you nada. I think that's the way it should be. And with that said, I wanted to explain the stock market because I really, really wasn't sure what they did. And now I got a little better understanding of it. And of course, think about it. the banks always get paid first, and then this poor Uncle Fred that made the investment in it, you know, hey, he's taking a big risk. So everybody that starts a business takes a big risk when you put up your own capital. And yet, you know what's really interesting? It's like some people make their living, like the Clintons, off of these like non-profits. And I never understood that. And I'm like, okay, so they're non-profits. You don't pay any taxes. You have to justify the expenses to do some good for people. And what good did they really do for other people? It's not like they were the Bushes, it's not like the Bushes who actually do things for the wounded soldiers, or they go out and they actually develop programs and reading literacies and stuff like that. I mean, if you look at the books and what the Clintons have done, very little has gone into actually doing something with their money. So anyway, that's the difference between the Republican and the Democrat kids, is that the Democrats kind of feel entitled just to waste our money, and the Republicans show us the accountability, because to make for the Republican, Fred and Bob and Sue, I mean, they had to work for their money very hard. They just didn't get the money given to them. And that's the moral of that too. Because if we were all to be fair and get things from the government and stuff like that, then we wouldn't have a lot of businesses being able to start up, because we'd be taking all the money from the people that were starting up these businesses. And with that said, I think that if we really taught politics or finance in school, it doesn't even have to be politics, just finance and the real aspect of what it is all about, I think we would have less Democrats and more Republicans out there. And with that said, I wanted to give you some food for thought, because it's important that we have balance in this world, because if we don't, we're going to have a lot of morons screaming at the sky. Guys, have a great day, and God bless.